I'll tell you right up front, I'm not Paul. You realize that. But that's shocked. He's shocked. Shattered Brian's illusion. But what I will tell you is that I do give thanks to God for you, brothers and sisters, as is right, because your faith is growing, and the love of every one of you for one another is increasing, and for that I give God thanks. I give God thanks. Did you know that in Jericho today there's actually a Zacchaeus tree? Did you know that? And if you stand underneath that tree, you'll be standing directly underneath where Zacchaeus was. And yes, it's true. Where is Jericho? Anybody? It's in Israel. Good. Where?
50 kilometers south of Jerusalem.
That's a good guess. That's a good guess. About 17 miles south, sort of actually east, maybe a little bit north of Jerusalem. It's and it's downhill from Jerusalem to Jericho. Therefore, if you're in Jericho, it's uphill. It's funny how that works. To Jerusalem. Long distance. Jerusalem's about 200 meters above sea level, and Jericho is about 800 or so meters below sea level. It's down there, folks. It's low. It's low. Tell me about Zacchaeus. What do we know about him from this gospel reading?
Tax collector and rich.
He's the tax collector, and he's short. And rich. And Jewish. And Jew. So Zacchaeus is short and rich and Jewish. And
he knows how to climb a tree.
Beg your pardon?
He knows how to climb a tree.
And he knows how to climb a tree. This is important information. He knows how to climb a sycamore fig tree. A sycamore fig tree. There's plenty of room in these branches for a short man to scramble up and to be there when Jesus is walking past. What about this? He's actually a chief tax collector, right? So what does that mean to you? If you hear, not just a tax collector, he's a chief tax collector, yes?
He's a collaborator with the Romans.
A collaborator with the Romans.
And all the other tax collectors feed to him.
And other tax collectors feed to him. Oh my goodness. So I played this game on Wednesday with everybody, with the folks that were courageous enough to come on Wednesday. And I asked the question, let's play the game, spot the sinner. Well, and you know that, folks are feeling a little exposed in the Wednesday morning, Wednesday noon worship anyway, so they were kind of going. They were pointing to themselves. And yes, I went, yes, of course, but that's not what I'm talking about. If we're talking about, let's just use an extreme expression, a colossal sinner, a sinner of large stature, what would we be looking to 2,000 years ago? What kind of person would fill that particular bill? A short guy named Zacchaeus would fill that bill. He would be a colossal, monumental, number one, you know it, always in trouble tax collector. My goodness. Zacchaeus. And what did he do? He ran, which was very unseemly for one in his position. To run, and then it's even far more unseemly to scramble up a tree. You got to remember what he would be wearing. He's not wearing tennis shoes and denims, okay? So he would be scrambling up a tree. This is a wonderful story. What does that mean? If he's debasing himself to do that kind of running and to climb that tree, right? And why does he want to climb that tree? He wants to see Jesus of Nazareth. Now, another piece of this is that I think Dennis made the point that he is rich. Jericho, 2,000 years ago, was the seat of a trade, the balsam trade, apparently, which was extremely important for the early El Al airlines. You needed flotation devices in the seats, and so the balsam was useful for that. But it was a center of importance. It was a place where Herod the Great had his winter palace, one of his palaces, in Jericho. It was a big Mecca. How many people lived there? I don't know. But it would be many thousands, probably 10,000 or something in that order, I'm guessing. But it would be an extremely important place, both economically, socially, and theologically. Because where is Jesus going when he leaves Jericho? He's going to Jerusalem. And interestingly enough, in another story in Luke's Gospel, there is a place on this road from Jericho to Jerusalem called the bloody section of the road, where people were likely to be attacked by bandits and left bloody by the side of the road. That reminds you of another story, perhaps. But Jesus is going from Jericho up to his fate. Now let's think about Luke a little bit, that whole Gospel of Luke, and let's think about the term rich in the Gospel of Luke. How does that fare? How do people who are declared rich in the Gospel of Luke, how are they generally faring? Camel, I have a needle. Lazarus, you're getting water. The rich guy's in the other side of it. Come on, folks. The people who were considered rich were being hammered pretty well by the gospel writer Luke. So we've got a tax collector and we have a rich person. And Jesus walks under the tree and he looks up. Now, I like to think that somebody in the crowd goes, "That's Zacchaeus." He's a tax collector. I would like to think that that's how it happened, but I have to tell you that that's probably not it. We are meant to understand that Jesus recognized this person and saw him and knew him. We're meant to understand that, I believe. And he said, "Zacchaeus, come down. I'm going to your place for dinner." Wow. The Son of Man is going to Zacchaeus' house for dinner. And of course, the crowd grumbles. The crowd grumbles. Because why? Because Zacchaeus does not have a good reputation in the Jericho area and environs. The Jericho township. He does not have a good reputation. Why? Because of what Kevin said. That he would have been, as a tax collector, considered in league with Rome. And tax collectors made their money by buying the concession, and then by getting the taxes the best way they could. And here is Jesus. Here is Jesus again going with a tax collector. Wow. And then something happens. We don't get a real clear picture in this little short thing, but something happens. And what does Zacchaeus say? What does Zacchaeus say? What does he do? He promises something. What is the first promise? I will give up half of everything I own to the poor. And he takes it another step. He says, and if, boy, this would be a big if. And if I got any money fraudulently, I will return that fourfold. Fourfold. This is a significant figure because back in Genesis 22, thereabouts, there was a sort of a set of rules. A thief who took a cow, in order to restore that cow, needed to give 5 cows back. And that was kind of the maximum that anyone would be expected to return in an effort to bring justice to this theft, to this sin that took place. Zacchaeus reaches that and says, this is what I will do. And implied in all of this, my brothers and sisters, is that he's going to continue to behave in a way which would be considered righteous. Wow. And Jesus says, here's the son of Abraham. Here is someone who was outside, who is back in again. Here is someone who, by his station in life, took himself outside of the community, and he is back. He is back. Here is what we might consider the worst sinner in the world. And he comes back. And he is welcomed back by Jesus of Nazareth, who is going from this place to welcome all of us back. To welcome all of us back. And here's what I want you to hold. On those days when you feel like you are the worst sinner in the world, and there are days when I feel like that about myself, if you ever get to that place, remember Zacchaeus. Remember Zacchaeus. And remember how on this day in Jericho, Jesus welcomed back the worst sinner in the world. And there's room in the kingdom for you.